Hey, what's up? It's Jose with another YouTube video. So in this video, I'm actually getting ready to put a workbench together so that I can lift my motorcycle up in the air. I have a bunch of leftover wood that I'll be using, but I also had to run to the hardware store and get some additional material. So you'll see me cutting up some new wood as well as some old wood. Definitely needed to go and get some additional 2x4s and also some 4x4s. I had a lot of tools here at the garage that I didn't need to go and get, but I had access to, so made this project that much easier. If you don't have a chop saw, I definitely recommend getting something that'll help you with both the 2x4s and the 4x4s, as well as the platform sheet of plywood. If you have access to a skill saw, that'll definitely do the trick for the full project. I was able to use both the chop saw and the skill saw and kind of tested both out to see what was most convenient, and definitely would say a skill saw is the only thing you really need. A couple of other things that I went and got were these ratchet bar clamps that help me keep the frame together as I put it together. As you can tell, I'm also using a pilot hole drill bit. That was useful so that I would prevent splitting the wood on the end there. And then yeah, just making sure that you have access to a drill would be super helpful. I don't think I would put this together with nails. As you can tell here, I have my platform all kind of framed up, and so now I'm going to mark the plywood that I'll be adding to the top of that. I used a chalk line and made sure that I was running down that red line with my skill saw. Again, the skill saw was probably the most useful and helpful tool to get this platform all put together. The chalk line was an additional bonus there so that I could get a nice straight line. The way I have this set up is roughly 7 feet long by 3 feet wide. I measured everything just kind of to a guesstimate of what a standard platform would be. I also looked at the ones that are available like at Harbor Freight and kind of went off those dimensions. Using some 2.5-inch exterior screws, I put that pretty much all together. The only other screws that I went and got were these 3-inch long construction screws that I used for the 4x4s. For the 4x4s, I wanted to see if I could just use the chop saw to get that cut in case I didn't have a chop saw and wanted to show what that would look like. It's definitely doable. So as you can tell here, I'm putting those 4x4s onto the platform, and you can see that I have the ratchet clamps holding it in place. I'm only putting the corners in right now so that I could see how it sits. Again, not a hard project, definitely something you can do in a day, but this took me a few days. All right, here it is. So as you can tell, it's all laid out, ready to go. I'm gonna give it a shot here in just a bit, but for now, this is how it sits. The other thing is that I did make a ramp using some leftover wood, some 2x6s sandwiched together, and then a piece of construction plywood. Yeah, these are some of the tools that I used that might be helpful for you. Some ratchet bar clamps, super easy to use, especially when you're trying to build out that frame, screw it all together and you don't have 5 hands. Some construction screws, these are about the 3-inch ones. The whole box itself was pretty inexpensive. 2.5-inch screws as well, outdoor exterior screws, again, very inexpensive. If you don't have a chop saw and maybe you only have access to a skill saw, that'll definitely do the trick. I was able to cut the 4x4s with this. It has plenty of clearance to do 2 cuts, and then you have enough to take a 4x4 down. So if you don't have a chop saw that can cut a 4x4 and you maybe have access to the skill saw, you can do it with this. Plus the skill saw is actually going to be a lot easier to use when you're cutting down your platform for the actual workstation. And then I had one drill and then one impact driver. So I used one just for the pilot holes and then the other to screw down all the screws, and then obviously a measuring tape and a quick square. So that's pretty much it. Pretty basic, nothing extreme, nothing that you need any specialty tools for except for maybe that skill saw. And then yeah, everything is kind of made up of just very simple hardware. So as you can tell here, I have my 4x4s secured with those construction screws kind of at 2 points on each side. So I may reinforce that and do 4 total, but just to get it to sit where I wanted it, I had those on each corner, and then just the very basic Phillips screws, those 2.5s that helped frame up the actual platform itself. So yeah, nothing too elaborate overall. Underneath, you can tell I have those 2x4s that frame up that platform, and they go all the way across. So I have them in a couple of spots, ideally where the wheels would be, and then right in the center there where my 4x4 middle posts are. Overall, this only took me about maybe 6 hours, depending on maybe your skill set or how much time you have. You could probably do it in one day. I definitely had to break it up into a few days just because I don't have a bunch of time all at once. A couple of last little details. I went to Harbor Freight and I got this wheel chock for about 15 bucks. Really simple to put together. It came with some hardware, but I also had to run to the hardware store to get some additional hardware to bolt it down to the platform, but really simple to do. This will be really helpful as I get the bike up onto the workbench and I don't risk throwing the bike over the front. The other thing was I went and got these D-rings from Harbor Freight. I have some for the back where I'll strap down the ramps, and then some for the front where I'll strap down the front of the bike. All right, here it is, all set up. Give this a shot. Alright, here we go. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh.
Are you okay?
Yeah. It's the back tire. Oh, holy shit.
Okay, we were like pretty close on that.
I know, that's why I was like, oh shit. But this thing didn't move.
No, this was fine, although I felt like we got kind of close to this edge.
You know, I think just because I was so like focused on looking, that I was like looking at the thing and didn't even. All right, well, here it is.
It's up there. And it went right into the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 2-person thing or a skilled 1-person thing, because
I mean, you definitely need more speed. Like,
oh yeah.
Like we were slowing. You kind of like slowed down.
I hit the brake. I got so nervous.
I know. I don't know. We had good momentum, but then I was like, "What the heck?" All of a sudden.
No, sorry. I just saw it coming off the edge on the front, and I was like, "Oh no!"
No, I think we would have just hoisted it up there.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's up there now. Sick. Yeah. Yeah, my phone. All right, there it is. So as you can tell, bike's on the workbench. This worked out perfectly. There's plenty of room down below for additional storage. If I wanted to use this bench as a workbench, I could definitely sit on that stool and go in and out without having any clearance issues on my legs. But yeah, everything worked out. For less than 100 bucks, this was definitely a good project to just kind of give it a go and see what happens. Clearly I had tools available to me, so it was easier to just kind of get things going. I spent probably $15 on that wheel chock, which I think was a great deal. It was really the only additional thing that I had to go out and get that was not at the hardware store. This is all put together with just simple construction screws, deck screws, exterior screws, nothing fancy. I bought 2 4x4s and each one was about $15, and then I had some leftover 2x4s, so I only purchased an additional 2 2x4s, and you could probably get away with buying maybe a total of 5 or 6 depending on how you want to put it together. But yeah, the piece of plywood at the top where my platform is, that was from a leftover project, so I did not have to buy that. But if you bought 1 sheet, you could definitely get away with it. The dimensions on this are roughly 3 feet wide, and then about 7 feet long, and the height, so from the top of the platform down to the ground, is roughly about 27 inches. Yeah, I would say that you could get this done in about a day or two, depending on your skill set. Again, I didn't have to buy anything that was special. If you really wanted to give it a go, you could definitely do this kind of in a small space. So if you like watching these videos, if you like watching everyday Jose's just kind of figure things out, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Feel free to add a comment down below, ask any clarifying questions if you think there's something I missed or you wanted a little more in-depth answer to. I'll definitely try to answer that. Yeah, and then like this video and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll definitely try to start putting more videos out there as I get deeper into this project. So stay tuned. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.